Hi guys, it's Rob from Royal Balls. The 2019-2020 breeding season is well underway. So we're going to be looking at some of the things in the snake room. We're having a look at some snakes, some pairings, some signs, some tips during the breeding season. Don't forget that I live and work out here in the tropics, so I do not use heat mats. I work with the natural monsoon cycles, and it is now the rainy season. It has got slightly cooler. For the first time ever since I started breeding, I have actually started to cool the room by a degree or so. Normally in here is about 30 degrees centigrade. It's now at 28 and I'm keeping it at a fairly constant 28. The snakes already know it's the wet season. I've never had an issue in the past getting my snakes to breed. They always breed at this time of year in the wet season, but clutches of eggs have been scattered throughout the year, starting in about March right the way through to October. So this year I decided to cool fractionally to see whether I could get my snakes in sync and see whether I could get my females to lay in a shorter time period. I suspect that's not going to work, but it's worth a try. This is my pairings board. It's a whiteboard, and I started pairing in October, a month earlier than I normally do. So here at the beginning of December, you can see that my season got off to a slowish start. Some of the snakes paired immediately, which are the green dots. That's when I paired them and we got a lock. The red dots are when we did not get a lock. We paired snakes and we didn't get a lock. So as the season has progressed through into November, you'll see that more and more snakes are locking. The breeding season's going very well, with a notable exception down at the bottom of my Firefly to my two pastel females, and this is the Het Lavender pairing, which we're going to talk a little bit more about later. I'll show you those snakes, but I have not so far seen a lock, so we're going to talk about that in this video. So let's open up a few tubs and see what we can see. This is my pied female, and this is what I expect to see at this time of year. This is classic bowl hugging behaviour. She's cooling, she's gripping the water bowl, exposing as much of her body to the water bowl as possible, and the water bowl is several degrees cooler than the rest of the tub because of evaporation. Bowl hugging is a classic follicle building activity for a female at this part of the breeding season. Let's take a look at a few more. Again, the same behaviour from this female. She is maximising the amount of her body that's in contact with the water bowl to cool. And this is another female that's been paired to the same male. This is an ivory female paired to the pastel pied male, and she's also in the building phase, cooling her body, exposing as much of her body to the water bowl as possible. These are good signs. This is another female bowl hugging. This is my double het albino clown female who has been paired to the possible double het albino clown male. You can see that she is also hugging the water bowl, but she's also upside down. She's a little bit uncomfortable as she starts to build her follicles. The female snakes often look for a more comfortable position and reorientate themselves. This girl is also in shed at the moment, but again, classic bowl hugging behaviour, and not unusual to see them pulling all sorts of different shapes at this time of the breeding season too. Again, this is another female, a double het female. She has not been paired, but she is actually in sympathy with the other females, building follicles, and she is also hugging the water bowl. I don't have a male for this female. She's a possible double het exanthic clown, maybe later in the season, but she's also building follicles, going through that classic cooling phase. Here's another female doing the same thing. She has been paired this year, but I haven't seen a lock. She didn't breed last year. But you can see that she's again looking for a more comfortable position and just exposing as much of her body as possible to the water bowl so that she can cool and build follicles. So this girl looks like she's also building. This girl here has also been bred, and as you can see, she is deep in shed at the moment. Just zero in on her eyes. You can see her eyes are milky, her skin has gone dull. So she's waiting to shed, and what I'll do when this girl sheds, while the tub is still dirty and the shed is still in the tub, I will introduce the male. While the scent in the tub is full of her pheromones, it's a very good time to introduce a male immediately after the female has shed. Very good time to put the male in. One of the little tricks that you can use to stimulate the male. So as soon as she sheds while the tub's still dirty and her shed is still in the tub, I will introduce the male. Okay guys, so here we are in the snake room. I've got myself a new table which is much higher than the old table. For cleaning tubs this is much more comfortable. For photographing snakes on here I don't have to lean over when I'm doing videos. Just a simple little thing, but so much better. What we're going to do today, it's Wednesday and it is time for my December pairings. Wednesday is halfway between the feeding days, so if I put males in today, they should be done and out by Friday, and I can feed again at the weekend so it doesn't disrupt the feeding schedule. Some of the schedule won't work like that because some of the snakes are in shed, so we will pair up. If the males miss a feed, not too worried about that. They were all fed last weekend, so they're all good. I do like to pair all my snakes at the same time, so the male and female for all my pairings, as much as possible, will go in today. The reason that I do that is because as soon as the males go in with the females, they will start releasing pheromones which all the snakes in the whole room can smell. So once they start pairing up, and as you've seen from my breeding schedule, as the breeding seasons progress, more and more snakes are locking up. So it is an effective technique. Other things that people do are using male sheds in with the male, using sperm plugs rubbed onto the female. I find none of that's necessary if I pair up all my pairings together on the same day, because the pheromones that spread throughout the snake room are doing the job without having to put in those extra sheds and stuff like that. So let's get on with it. So you see this female has shed just last night, and she's made a bit of a mess of her tub. So we're going to leave this tub dirty, and we're going to introduce the male. She's going to get to see the male first. I have two females, the other one just above her, but since this one has shed, she's going to get to see the male first. So that's another little tip. Just after the female has shed, introduce the male. This female here that we looked at the other day has still not shed. Waiting on her to shed. So instead of putting the male to her, we'll put the male into this spinner girl here instead, so that when he's done up here, you can go in with the female that's shed over the next couple of days. Same for this girl here. She's bowl hugging, but she's also coming up for shed. She's gone very dull. So again, the male that's due to go in with this female will wait until she sheds, and instead I will put him in with this girl. So by the time he's done with this girl, he can go up to the other pied girl who will have shed. This is my Scorch male, Super Pastel Leopard Mojave. He's been paired to 2 females this season. One's a normal, which I'm waiting for shed, and the other one is a spinner female who is ready now. So we're going to pop him in with the spinner female. And just open the tub, put the male inside, close the tub, and let them get on with it. This is my banana black pastel male. He's going in with my cinnamon female this season. So in he goes, and we'll just take out the hide and stick it up there for now so that the female can't hide. This is Rambo, my fire clown male, and he's going in with the pastel vanilla clown female. We're going to make some nice clown combos there. So in he goes. So this female here is an interesting one. Now you can see that she's the only ball python that I've put on substrate. Last year she didn't breed, although she went through all the phases: bowl hugging, swelling, and then regressed. And during the course of the year I put her into a bigger tub and she stopped eating. She stopped eating altogether for months. So she went back into this smaller tub and still wouldn't eat. So I put some substrate in for her, and immediately she started eating again. And now you can see that she's in the building phase. She is back on the breeding rotation. So that little trick, a bit of substrate, which I don't normally like to use out here in the tropics because it gets too damp and too mouldy. But this female is now back on the breeding team, and she's going to get put on the rotation today, and we'll see a male later on. This is my male spot nose, and he's going in with my pastel vanilla Mojave female in the bottom that we just looked at with the substrate, who is ball hugging at the moment. So he goes in with her, and because she's on substrate, I'm just going to wet the substrate a little bit. Just damp them down in the tub so that the smell of the pheromones is intensified because of this. This is just tap water. Firefly het lavender male goes in with the pastel het lavender female. And again, what we'll do with her, we'll just remove the hide, put him in the tub, and close that up again. This is my pastel pied male. He's going in with my pied female and also my ivory. The pied female is due to shed any day, so we'll stick him in with the ivory first. When he's done with her, the other girl will have shed and we can swap them over. So in he goes with the leopard ivory. And this is my possible double het albino clown male, and he's going in with the possible double het albino clown female, whose tub we looked at earlier, and she just shed last night. So we've left the shed in there, the tub's dirty, and we're just going to stick him in there. Again, I'll remove the hide, and the smell of pheromones is quite strong in there, but I'll just intensify that with my water spray. Probably Probably not necessary to spray, because most of these females, the first thing that they will do when the male goes in is to release urine with all the pheromones in. They'll take a pee, so the tub will already be soaking wet, but that's just a little bit of encouragement for them. And on my breeding board, I'm just marking down the pairings that we did today. So just to show you on the board there, I've marked with a black X initially for the pairings, and then later on we'll take a quick peek tonight and see how these guys are doing, and as they lock we'll change that symbol to either a green, or if they haven't locked in the next couple of days we'll change that to a red, but let's wait and see. I also mark down the pairings in my breeding book, guys. It's not just the whiteboard. I do keep a permanent record of that in a breeding book that I can refer to in subsequent seasons. So let's just take a look at some of the snakes that I've paired up, and we'll come back later and check on them. So this guy here has gone straight to work. He's already wrapping his tail around the female's body there. Wasting no time whatsoever. You can see the snakes are laid on top of each other, and he's already courting that female. He's only been in there for 2 minutes. So these two guys are a little bit slower in the offing, but we'll come back. We won't disturb them now, we'll come back later. And the same thing with these guys here. The male is already climbing on top of the female, stimulating her. He's only been in 2 minutes, so these are all signs to watch out for when you pair up. So we'll come back later and see how they're doing. These guys here, the female is actually in shed, so we'll see how we go later with these guys. And now that's the male with his tail curled up there in the air, so he's already liking what he smells. He'll be going to work in a short while, and we'll come back and see how we're doing with these guys a little bit later. The black pastel banana male has gone straight to work with the cinnamon female. He's already lying on top of her and brushing her with his tail. So again, that's within just a couple of minutes of going in the tub. All positive signs. We'll come back later tonight in a few hours time and just check and see how they're doing. Okay, it's the following morning. Let's see what we can see. I would say these guys have been locked up, or they're going to lock up. The male is pretty well lined up there. We'll leave them. There's a lock between the two clowns. You guys see that there? So these two clowns are locked up. That's the fire clown male to the pastel vanilla clown female. That's another successful lock. Nothing from these guys. There is a lock at the back there.
very hard to see on camera. The male has his head over the top, but you can see the tails are locked there. Good. Nothing from these guys, and they're not even on top of each other, so no interest at all there. And we'll check those later today. Okay, no visual lock there, but they are laid on top of each other, so definite interest. We'll leave them. And also no lock here yet. We'll leave them. They are interested, one laying on top of the other, so that's a good sign. We'll let them get on with it. There we go, lined up. Not a proper lock yet, but they will, so I'll just leave them. Same thing here, not a proper lock yet, but lined up. They will, I'll just leave them. I'll leave these guys a little longer. They have unlocked, they were locked this morning. Nothing from these guys. And yes, we have a lock there. Yep, good lock. Nothing from these guys. And we have a lock there also. Cool. Those guys are definitely locked, waving their tails around in the air. You can see that the tub is wet. The female sprayed pheromones. And these guys are still at it. It's good.
Okay guys, that's the breeding season so far here at Royal Balls. Some things to watch out for, some tips to try if you're having difficulty. But the main quality that you require during the breeding season is patience. Keep pairing those snakes up, keep pairing them up on schedule, and sooner or later, if the females are receptive, the males will lock with them. So thanks for watching, hope you enjoyed the snakes. I hope some of that was useful to you guys. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.